Another interesting note that I saw, this was pointed out by Frankie Cardicelli.
Frankie, yeah.
Am I saying that name right?
Franklin?
But I think he goes by Frankie.
Did you go by Frankie?
Frankie, man.
He sounds so Italian.
Frankie.
What's that, Frankie?
Frankie goes to Hollywood.
Ah, Frankie Cardicelli. Frankie goes on. Does he go by Frankie?
Am I dyslexic that bad? I'm pretty sure it's Frankie.
Whenever I saw him at a Kings game,
Beef Frankie.
I walked by him. I was like, I almost want to go to him. But he's like, "Hey, I'm Cap City Crown." But no one gives a shit.
He does follow the account though.
He does follow the account.
So he's a good man.
And one time I said we should go golfing together, and he said, okay.
"Frankie Golf Carticelli."
That's what it made me double think. Like, what did you say? Yeah, you're right, Frankie. Frankie, we love you, Frankie. I don't want to make it seem like we're laughing at you if you're listening. I think you're a good guy.
I don't think he's listening. He noted that because the NBA.com came out and they released the reserve all-star voting for 6 of their writers. Of the 6 ballots, Domas appeared on all 6, as one might imagine. But the bigger story, 5 of 6. Pretty good clip there. 5 of 6. De'Aaron Fox was on it. It's kind of looking like De'Aaron Fox is going to be an all-star.
Well, okay, before I get to Fox, Domas, yeah, I mean, I think like ESPN was putting out like, who should be starters? I mean, Domas was like, he should be a starter, like most people are saying, which is obvious. The fan vote sucks. I don't know why Zion Williamson's a starter. I get it. I get it because he's Zion Williamson, but it's like,
but everybody around even in the national media are going like, come on. Like I think even like Shaq and Chuck and like Kendrick Perkins.
Dude's missed what, 20 games this year? Almost 30 games.
That's silly.
Whatever. But yes. So of course Domas is a starter. I mean, of course he's an all-star. I mean, like that's no question. But Fox, yeah, he was always a guy who was like, it's gonna be a starter. And so that is good news that these senior writers are saying that he should be. We kind of got nervous when he went in that slump. I don't even remember when that was. December sometime, right?
Yeah, like the foot bruise thing?
Yeah, the foot.
Yeah, that was like early December. Because we were talking about that Cleveland game earlier. That was the second week of December.
Okay. So, I mean, he was on like a heater before that. He was insane before like that Orlando when he hit that game winner. Before that dude was a stud. Then he kind of had this slump, and it's like, well, maybe he's killing his all-star chances. And even after that slump kind of ended, his numbers weren't eye-popping. Because in the NBA, there's limited all-star spots. You have to have some eye-popping numbers.
True.
And even now, in the last like month or so, it's like they're not eye-popping, but they're consistent enough where it's like he threw up 32 against Minnesota, and the Minnesota game before he threw up 29. Mm-hmm. And that's what
21 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, exactly. And he had a game that he only scored 17, but he had 10 assists. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like people are looking at that, and I mean, and the Kings at the end of the day, right now, they're the 3rd seed in the West. And the 3rd seed, because here's the top 3 seeds. You have number 1, the Nuggets, like Jokic and maybe Aaron Gordon. Right? It's like it's not as convincing as Sabonis and Fox. The 2nd seed, you got the Grizzlies. You have Ja Morant and maybe Desmond Bane. I don't even know if Bane's really in the conversation either.
I hadn't even heard this argument before, but I see where you're going with this.
But then the 3rd seed, the Kings are in the 3rd seed, right? Crazy. But so you have Sabonis, obvious all-star, as is Morant and as is Jokic. Mm-hmm. Well, Jokic is already a starter, obviously.
Jokic is a 2-time MVP.
No, he shouldn't make it. But then you have Fox, where it's like a guy scoring 24 points a game on the 3rd seed in the West. And is a guy who's kind of been in borderline all-star the last couple of years, just kind of needed that winning record to really propel him to all-star.
True.
He has a winning record now. He has really picked up his game since that slump. He's the number 1 clutch scorer in the NBA, the most clutch points, which says something. I mean, I'll take that. I'll take a clutch scorer any day of the week.
Hell yeah.
So he has that to his name too, to like kind of boost that. Because people are seeing there's now an award awarded at the end of the season, awarding the clutch. It's the Jerry West Clutch Player of the Year award. So he has that to his name as well. I mean, out of those top 3 seeds, as I just mentioned, it makes sense for Fox and Sabonis to have the 2 All-Stars.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you've heard it from Mike Brown the whole way through. This team, the thing for Fox being an all-star is this team winning.
Yeah.
Third in the Western Conference, like a lot of people, including myself, imagine this team being pretty good this year. Third in the Western Conference around the All-Star break, I would not have guessed that.
No.
I would not have even thought about guessing that. People would have been like, okay, chill out. Even the most ardent supporters of the Kings would just be like, take it easy, pump the brakes. That speaks for itself. And then also it's just like, it's like what we were saying. One of the things that happened when Fox went out is you saw all sorts of things change defensively. You saw all sorts of things, particularly with the second unit, who he plays a lot with. You saw their production dip. He just, in a lot of ways, when he's got everything tightened up, everything else tightens up around him. It speaks for itself.
And as good as Sabonis is, Fox the leader of this team.
Yeah,
he's the leader. It's his team. As I mean, and maybe because he's been around longer or anything, but
he is. Yeah, no, I mean, you were saying it last week or the week before when I think it was the week before after they went on ESPN. And you're like, from Mike Brown to Domas Sabonis, everybody kind of will willingly take a back seat to De'Aaron Fox. Let him make calls. Let him override a call. Let him take control, play ISO, whatever the situation, get his own shot. Let him do his own thing. Yeah. And more often than not, it typically works out. Mm-hmm. I mean, sometimes it doesn't because you lose, on Saturday night, but it's like the dude went off. And it's like, that was one of the few bright spots in that game because the defensive effort in that first Minnesota game was not there at all. And, as we noted, and it was just like, Fox has a way of being a lone bright spot. Yeah. And even when you look at games, it's like, oh, the team did really well. People would be tempted to say, oh, but he only scored 16 points. That's a negative. And it's like, you realize this team dominated tonight because he was doing other things. Exactly. Facilitating, fucking defending. And you can see it even in that second Minnesota game. We were talking about how Davion Mitchell and you get Thibault on this team. You just have all these guys switching. There were multiple moments that were pointed out later that I didn't take note of at the time, where he's just switching off of guys and he just has this fervent energy going on. And it's just this guy sets a tone. Yeah. He does set the tone and the team follows. Yeah. And so he's just directly plugged into what's happening. And you see that the most important stat, I think, is what we're saying for De'Aaron Fox is the Kings win column. Yeah, I maybe a month ago you asked me, I might be surprised if he's an all-star. At this point, it's yeah, we said that a month ago. Yeah, no, we did. It's he kind of playing himself out of it. But at this point, I would still be a little surprised, a little. I don't think he's a lock. You don't think that the 506 NBA.com writers helps because that really boosted my at this point I'm he's going to be an all-star. I would be surprised if he's not an all-star now. I don't know. Maybe just because I think it's a little hard to be a first-time all-star unless you're a starter. I feel like you kind of get grandfathered in. It's he's an all-star. That's true. Yeah, whatever. Zion Williamson, he's a starter. But to your point, he's been a borderline guy. He's been, yeah, exactly. What breaks a guy through? That's true. Being third in the Western Conference kind of seems like the thing. That's very true. But we'll have to see. We'll see. We'll find out on Thursday. And he deserves it. And it's so nice, too, if Fox becomes an all-star. I get it, Sabonis. We traded for him. He's our best player. But, Fox got drafted here. Mm-hmm. He signed that extension to stay here. And so it'd be nice to really see, the fruits of his labor, yeah. Become an all-star. And I think the nickname Foxy was kind of polarizing. You're an all-star. You're foxy as hell. Damn. Just slap it on there, man. He's like a homecoming queen at that point. He's not just Aaron. He's D Aaron. D Aaron. Man, I give him A plus Aaron. Or even better, double D Aaron. Double D.